Hello, and welcome back to the Benchland. We missed
Bye.
we missed you. Um, yeah, episode 2, Electric Boogaloo. Um, of course, I am Jess, joined by my fabulous co-host Adam.
Hi,
Hi.
I am the fabulous co-host Adam.
You are, and today we're gonna go mostly over video games. But we're gonna catch up on what we've been up to, and especially go over the challenge that Adam set for me last time
Yes,
and discuss how that went.
absolutely. Yes. So, I
Yes,
did the Valentine Day, lovey-dovey day thing.
you
I
did.
played. I went into an eggplant suit, and I played Hooked on You for around. I think it took me like 4 to 5 hours to woo the trapper.
And for those who don't know, what is Hooked on You?
Hooked on You is a dating simulator based on the very oh so popular asymmetrical game Dead by Daylight.
Yes.
Yes.
um,
Yeah, where I tried to date the Trapper and I did the Trapper voice, and yeah, it was a good time. It was a bit. This is not the best dating sim I've ever played, though. To be fair, I wouldn't be playing it again anytime soon. That's for sure. I'd rather play Monster Prom or something like that.
yeah, I'm quite curious because like I want to play the Hooked on You game myself, and I was debating what to do in terms of playing that around or on Valentine's, depending on what was happening.
Yeah.
Um, didn't
The,
end
the,
up
the game
happening.
was really determined to convince me that doing the trapper was a bad idea, and there were more fun options apparently. So I'm like, oh well, fuck you.
But at the same time, like I think, as you said, like you're probably not going to play it again. So
No.
I don't know. Like I feel like sometimes when people say like, "Oh, you missed out on the more fun experience," like at the end of the day, that's subjective anyway. Because you might go back to it and go like, "Oh, I'm gonna play through this again," and you just find out that like, no, actually, that route was the most fun for me.
Yeah, the game developers were the ones telling me that though. It's just like, well, you made the wrong decision. They made a reference to like murderous crabs, and be like, well, if you'll have more reference to that if you dated the sexy bunny. Like, nah, you won't. No, no. You
But
can you try your best. I'm not playing again.
but to be fair, I mean the developers of the game Behavior, like they've not had a great track record of knowing exactly what people want. So they're not the they're not the best advice givers.
Yeah, I mean, like they spent 5 to 10 minutes mentioning reviews and like mentioning 5-star reviews and stuff, and it's just like, can I can I just bang the trapper now? I do like my ending though, where I just end up being tunneled, and that's just story of my life and Dead by Daylight. It's just being tunneled.
For those who don't know what tunneling is in reference to the game, imagine you're in a scenario where you're with your friends or people that you know, family or whatever, and someone's chasing you down. They're trying to get all of you. Um, imagine like a game of tag, and one person's just constantly going after you. That's basically it. They're hooked
It's
on you.
hooked on you. Tunnel vision, tunnel vision, tunnel
Tunnel vision.
vision.
Love Chuckle Vision. Um,
Yes.
but what else have you been playing?
Offline, I've been playing a lot of Hunt.
Hmm.
I've been
Have
playing
you?
a lot of Pokemon. I have, yes.
I wouldn't know.
Um, yeah, I've been playing a bit of Pokemon's.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, really. Don't really. Probably get back to Dead by. Oh, we played some Dead by Daylight, really enough as well.
Yeah. We actually had a fun session, which is surprising.
That was very. That was very much surprising.
Yeah. It's weird because it's like I went for maybe like 2 months of just um, like just being burned out on Dead by Daylight, and eventually, um, I decided that, you know what, like I'm just gonna play it. Like I was bored. No one really around to talk to, so it's just like, like I can go on it, and if it's getting to me, then like I can just stop for a bit. But like again,
Yeah.
like I had fun, and I was like, come on, just play with me, and you're like, oh god, and then no, we had fun. Like there was one or two matches that was unfun, but it's got me kind of wanting to got an itch again. I kind of want to play a bit more. Um, Although that's competing with playing Hunt Showdown. Uh,
Hunt Showdown. Tell me more about that. How was your stream week?
oh my days! So obviously, before we get to the challenge, so I've been playing Pokemon Ruby on stream. I've been doing my Ultimate Nuzlocke series for a while now, which is, for those who are unfamiliar with that, we're playing Pokemon games, and there's a set of rules called the Nuzlocke rules, and it's basically like a hard mode that you kind of put like your own rules over it. For anyone who's familiar playing with Pokemon, you know you have your routes where you can catch Pokemon. So I limit one Pokemon per route, and I do the ultimate part of the Nuzlocke is going through every single Pokemon game, barring so say like you got red and blue. I'm only doing one of them, so one of each generation basically. So then is the hardcore rule set that I apply to my Nuzlocks as well, which is just a harder set of rules. If you have more curiosity on that, there's information online about all of that. I don't want to keep rambling on about it. But yeah, so I've been doing that, and that's been a lot of fun. Outside of that, I streamed Hunt.
Yeah, your first time.
Yeah. I've been trying to fit some more stuff in as well. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to stream at the moment. Just feels like at the moment I've got all these games to play and just not enough time. Yeah, so let's get on to that Hunt stream, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Adam had set me a challenge of getting 5,000 Hunt dollars in Hunt Showdown. And it was quite an interesting experience because I genuinely thought to myself that I wasn't going to do well, and I think the first hour I was definitely feeling that. I was just like, oh, this is all going wrong. This isn't going well. But then I had a good match. They're kind of like, okay, maybe this is possible.
I thoroughly enjoy watching people play Hunt for the first time. So especially solo, because the amount of stress that I get from playing said game. Look at that.
But yeah, like it's funny because it's like, because most of the games I had very limited. Very limited, but like, I didn't earn much Hunt dollars.
No.
There was especially like a period of time, I think like during the middle of that stream where I was doing the challenge, where I kept getting like ambushed. I was spawning next to players and instantly dying. But yeah, I met some interesting characters as well.
Yeah, it was nice enough to come in, and they were polite at least.
Yeah, it was funny because it's like the first game that I played. I was just like, this is a warm up game, I wasn't expecting to do well necessarily. Um, like, I think, but like at the same time, like when I moved on to the second game, I had someone who had came like it was weird because I wasn't expecting it. Like I had someone who came in from the first game,
Yeah.
and they were nice enough to pop in, and actually they chatted for a bit, and
Yeah, yeah, they stayed for a bit. Yeah.
um, was laughing with me about my complete failed attempt of the first game, um, which is funny. Um,
Oh, the AI.
oh, the AI! Like, oh, there was one moment in one game with like an immolator.
Yes,
Um,
that'll be shown later.
like, so I will say if anyone like isn't like doesn't know what Hunt is or whatever, we're gonna be uploading a highlight video of Hunt. It's gonna be on the YouTube channel. I think Adam's gonna be uploading some of the highlights on TikTok.
Yeah, I'll be
Um,
editing some clips
and
on there.
yeah, and we're debating about putting them on Twitter as well. So maybe we'll see. But that all should be up before um,
The next podcast, I
next
suppose.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully within the next week. Um, but one thing I quite enjoyed, like so in Hunt you have like a loadout. You can choose like what weapons you can use and stuff. And I'm someone who pretty much plays my main weapon being a melee weapon. Sort of like a
Yeah.
lance, but like it has like bombs you can attach to it and shoot at people's or hunters rather.
Yeah.
Well, just anywhere on the map, I suppose.
Yeah.
AI and stuff. But yeah, it was a lot of fun because it was like I typically didn't use much other guns, and I'm proud of myself for not using the same thing over and over, and I'm glad I did because like some of the highlights of that stream was from using weapons I don't normally use. I got a great headshot
Yeah.
in the tower. For I will say, I think there was two games in particular that went really well for the most part. And that was using melee. One was a bomb lance, and one was just a hatchet. Surprisingly, I may have squealed, I may have screamed.
Screaming was certainly had.
I would recommend subscribing to the Benchland YouTube and or the TikTok. I don't know. I'm not good with the TikTok, so I don't know if you subscribe, follow, or whatever. But yeah,
Give a follow or like on my TikTok channel.
I check it out and look out for a scream.
This one was I was feeling quite stressed watching you doing this one because I was like, oh my god, how the hell are you alive? Just dodging and weaving everywhere. I was like, oh.
For those that don't know, if you're just listening, we are currently like watching the video back as we're chatting. So if we do say something, just be with that. You can watch us react to it kind of on the YouTube VOD or on Twitch VOD. But yeah, I did want to ask as well, like, so as I said, like you kind of like stressed watching me, I guess. But for someone who like it was my first solo session, how do you think I did?
Yeah, you didn't do too badly. Mistakes were had, mistakes were made, but yeah, I didn't expect like greatness on your first solo run. But you started like once you started getting used to. Well, I mean, I was shit when I first played solo. Like it happens.
But an
But
epic
like
gamer, though.
Epic Gamer, who told you that? Who told you those lies?
Me.
Yeah. Um. But as like every loss you started to get, you started to get more and more kills though, at least. So and then you got that really good match where you got what, like 1,500 or something. Down.
It's like 1,500 something, yeah.
1,536 you got from one
Yeah.
match, which is a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
A good amount of money.
It's interesting because, like, I've been, funny enough, since doing that challenge, I've been keeping an eye on how much hunt dollars I've been making, like, when either playing with yourself or with another. And yeah, like, I don't think I've been earning anywhere close to that.
Solo does get a bonus.
I I get that, but like it's quite a significant difference. Not every game, but like there's a lot of games where I've noticed that I'm not even getting close to 1,000.
Yeah, it requires a lot of kills, robbing those bodies, and then getting the bounty as well. I think in that match you got 2 bounties as well.
Yeah. Also, in one of the games, I think I had like 20 minutes free, and I was the only one left on the server because I killed them all with my bomb lance. Didn't, but got most of the kills. I think I killed 4 that game, and I knew I had time to basically farm, which is make the most of the match and get rewards and stuff. But unfortunately, I needed to go to the loo. I suppose in hindsight, if I was the only one on that map, I could have just AFK'd. But I figured like no one wants to watch me farm. You know, I'll just move on to the next match. We did have a. Let's say we. I had a funny game before last. Because obviously the goal was to get 5,000 hunt points. Would you like to say how many hunt dollars I had total before doing the last game?
4,999. I'll make that shit up.
No. Adam was gonna be like, hey, no, I'm gonna let you just have that because that's basically 5,000. But it's like, no. One more for one more. And yeah, I'm glad I did it because it was. I didn't do amazingly, but I had some fun doing that last game.
Yeah, you took a do it down with you.
Well, I know I downed both of them separately, but I think they got me in the end.
I don't think she managed to pick up. I don't know. I can't remember. Let's just in our storyline they both died. You took him down with you.
Yeah. I will say, I think, as much as I love the Hatchet game, you know, like, if you watch the video, you'll understand. But I think, as much as I enjoyed that, and it was a miracle that I was able to kill that team, let alone survive escaping them initially. Nothing was more hype than being in the Fort Bolden match and just sneaking into the compound with a bomb lance and just chilling inside as hunter after hunter like was trying to chase me down in that building.
Yeah.
I say chase me, like one ran up at me. Their teammate was like running back, like walking back and forth, and then peaked for whatever reason, and I ran up and got them. And then this poor person just trying to sneak up on me, try to find where I was, and yeah, they didn't realize that I was crouched around the corner. Bless them. Definitely the most fun I have had from that game. Within the 150 hours I've played of it. I'll say, like, I'm no, like, as much as I'm proud of how I played, I'm no expert of that game. Like, it's one of those games where I feel you do have to you have to put a significant amount of time in that game to be decent. You have to spend so many hours to unlock everything. And then understand each weapon, get good, get used to the bosses, understand kind of like how different players play.
Yeah.
Because you definitely have those that go gung-ho, confident, cocky, some overconfident, some that like think they're, gonna just storm in and do well and fall off and die. And then you have people who play really stealth, like very immersed, like, they're crazy.
Yeah, you got the snipers that hang out in the tower, and they just stay in the tower for the entirety of the match and watch the Netflix or something.
Yeah.
Or you just have players who take out your teammates and wait out for the burn timer and don't push the bounty holders. And then, a certain person will just have to run to that team and gun them down.
Well, it's interesting because like we've, Adam's taught me a lot playing this game, and we've had some we've had some crazy moments of people just stay in one space half an hour, either just camping your dead body, waiting for me to make a mistake, or will have camped my body and waiting for you to show your face, and it's just the lengths that some people go to in that game is
especially for a health stat. I've been in a solo game versus trios, and I have played against the most careful teams I've ever played in trios. Like, you would think that, it's a solo, let's just rush and kill. Nope. Nope. Just gotta one by one.
Yeah.
Creep towards the solo.
But you say that as like a solo thing. Like, we experienced it yesterday when we were playing. We had a team of three. Like, we only realized that, like, we knew one person was there. And you got them, and then the other two showed their faces, and I think it was like maybe like 10-15 minutes where they were just being really cautious, even though like time's ticking. You gotta take down the other hunter so you can get the bounty and leave. But but like, going back to the challenge though, I will say is that like, as I said, like, I was worried like how I do with being a solo and stuff, and also just streaming it. Funny enough, but anyway, like, it's just doing it as a challenge. Like, I think it's one of the most fun challenges I've done in a while, because like, I think the game the game has a lot of credit for doing that as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a tense game, so it's like, normally without even a challenge set, you realize that you have, especially now, because like before you had an event, which if you died, there was a trait in that game that you could acquire which will allow you to not lose a character. But now, like, it's back to constant permadeath for each hack.
Vanilla game, baby.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of pressure there. There's pressure to do well for content and streaming, and then there's also doing well to get the challenge done. Like, I ain't gonna lose a challenge. I won the first challenge of the Benchland. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you beat me. I am 1-0.
What do you mean 1-0? Don't do the 1-0 shit, because then I'll be competitive. So I won the quiz, so it's 1-1 actually.
Well, it's 1-0 in terms of winning the quiz, and then that's for you, and then it's 1-0 for me actually completing the challenges. So, yeah. You can shake your head all you want, but I did it. But yeah,
I was shaking my head. Listeners. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, towards the end of the podcast, I can get a challenge issued.
Yeah, well, I got some nifty questions. So I don't know. We'll see. I got some nice juicy challenges for you. That's for sure.
I'm actually like quite excited to see what you've got prepared. But yeah, like outside of that, yeah, thank you for that challenge, though, because
yeah, thank you for doing it. It was really enjoyable to watch. I always like watching my friends stream Hunt and doing it solo.
I mean,
it's always fun to watch.
I will say there's also temptation to upload the full VOD to the channel as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is. Yeah, it makes sense.
I don't know whether they'll be uploaded to my own personal YouTube channel, or if we'll post that to the Benchline channel. I haven't.
Why not both?
But if I do decide to post the full VOD somewhere, we'll definitely let you guys know. But yeah, we haven't been using the Twitter much, but if you follow us on Twitter, we'll try and keep up in terms of let you know when stuff's being posted places. So
we're gonna get used to like using Twitter in general. I don't use Twitter, so
no, I like pictures of bunnies and ongoing transgender topics for the most part, and just you know, liking fellow creators, friends, people I like, you know, all that good stuff. A lot of toilet reading as well. But yeah, I did one else as well. Like, was there anything else you kind of been up to this week that you want to talk about? Watch anything interesting?
Oh, I watched. I can't remember what episode we're on for Andor, and we were watching Bad Batch as well.
Nice. I did want to ask. I'm kind of glad you have watched Bad Batch. So, are you up to date?
I watched the episode where they did some treasure hunting. That's where we are. I can't remember what episode number that is, but yeah, we watched the one where they were on a planet and they found a very ancient war machine.
Right. Okay. So
that's where we are.
Okay. So you've seen most of season 2?
Majority, but not all of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're taking it slow.
Yeah. No, that's fair. But I wanted a question because like I've been feeling this. I feel like season 2 has been so much more lacking than season 1. Season 1 was like interesting episode to episode, but there's like a few episodes of season 2 where I'm just like.
I'm enjoying it nevertheless, though. I'll take.
Oh yeah.
I'll take meh over. Oh, this is complete utter garbage.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it's just
like I know the racing one isn't like was essentially pointless, but I still
Ugh.
I still enjoyed it though. I
Um,
still had a good time watching.
I think it's just I probably won't mind it in time to come, but it's just that feeling of the first season was just so good,
Hmm.
and had a really interesting story, and it's just felt that like most of the good episodes of season two has nothing to do with the Bad Batch. It has everything to do with other characters being good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they're just building up of like a mistrust with Zeb. I think with that episode at least, anyway.
Mm. Yeah, we'll see.
We
Um,
shall see.
we shall. Anything else you've been watching?
Yeah. So I mentioned Andor. We watched I think Black Panther 2 recently.
I'm halfway through that at the moment. It's good so far.
Uh, Andor is so good.
Um, I will say like no good.
We, 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 we've been forcing ourselves to watch Hawkeye, but we're not liking it much. So,
I can't stand watching most of the MCU stuff. I will say, not a
yeah,
huge
it's
enjoyer.
yeah,
Yeah.
not liking it.
I will say something I've started, which I'm quite enjoying so far. I think I've watched the first 5 episodes of. I've been watching Extraordinary on Disney Plus.
Okay.
It's like a Star original. It's quite interesting. I would recommend it. It's like about the main character is a person without a power in a world where everyone has a power. Be that super
Oh,
strength,
maybe that's their
um,
power.
be it um, being able to go through walls, fly, so on, or even just being able
Acid
to like
spit.
you know have people who have died be become a host for them to say things. It's a really good show. Set in the UK, so it's got UK humor, which I always appreciate. If they say the word Tesco, I'm like, oh, Tesco on Disney. Yes, I do appreciate that. Simple things. Yeah.
I'll add that to the many lists of shows that I need to watch.
No, that's good. I don't know what else I've been really watching, to be honest. Like I know I've watched other things, but nothing really comes to mind. I've just been watching some
Yeah.
YouTube and stuff, and yeah,
Yeah.
womp.
Well,
So, shall we talk about some games?
of course.
Nice. So, one thing I want to start off with, we were kind of talking about it on the previous episode. We were
Yeah.
talking about licensed games,
Yeah.
and for the most part, we were talking about like movie licensed games. But of course, like there's other licensed games that like existed. Like you got like Barbie, which is like an action man that was based on toys. I know there was like TV media and film media and all of that, but that's not what it's typically based on. You could make the argument for like Spider-Man games as well. That that's based on like comic books, but
Yeah.
I think most people go like, "Oh, I've seen that show," But yeah, I did want to say also like overarching like because we kind of touched upon it like how for the most part licensed game there's a ton of great licensed games, but there's definitely the stinkers. Definitely a lot more recently, and I think that one point that I wanted to make last episode that I couldn't have time for was that I do think there's a problem with the size of a game, the budget for these games, and also kind of like the expectations. Because when we were growing up, with our SNESs and PS1s and PS2s, we had these gaming consoles that, like, these games were the most popular games. I mean, when you got to the PS2, they started having stories. Like, some
Yeah.
kind of have stories in the PS1 generation, but, like, not necessarily the focus. It's just gameplay.
It's just turn on the console thing and play video games.
Exactly. You didn't have a UI that was like, oh, do you want someone to watch live TV and also watch YouTube and Netflix and all of this stuff,
I don't have that problem. My TV is just a TV.
But yeah, like, I think back then, you had a defined scale of what a game was to be. It was like typically 4 to 6 hour experience, could be like 1 to 2 hours depending. But those games tend to have like a lot of replay value.
Yeah.
But like these days, I do think like developers just don't know what to necessarily do, because they have, this grand technology that like feels like it's always necessary to push out like a product that it's like, oh, this has to exist on this technology.
Yeah.
It has to have all these particle effects. It has to have, these grand visuals. Like, I think like with licensed games these days, I don't want AAA big title games. Like, there's one game that was shown off in a recent Nintendo Direct that they showed off a new Mickey Mouse game.
Right.
And it was kind of like in the style of like Rayman Origins, Rayman Legends. It's like a 4-player experience, and it's like 2D. It was hand drawn from what it looked like. And it's like it's not this grand adventure. It's not this like mastery of graphics and scope. It's not gonna win any awards in storytelling, but as a game, it looks fun, looks enjoyable,
yeah.
And that's fine. That's all they kind of need to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to me because, like, there's games, for example, like, even using Toy Story as an example, right? You go back to the PlayStation 1, you have Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic platformer for the system. And then you jump to Toy Story 3 on the PlayStation 3 and other consoles. And PC, I think. It's a good game, but it doesn't hold up as well as Toy Story 2. And I know some people are like, oh, but the graphics don't look good because it's a PS1 game. And I'd argue it's a style. It looks good. It was designed to be a style, but now it's like, how retro is now a style. But when we were growing up, that retro style was just what was seen commonly. It was what was in.
It's kind of like how Pokemon is. With the new 3D graphics. Yeah, it's just like, I don't feel Pokemon should be 3D. I feel like the Pokemon look better, in the 2D/3D world, but like 3D, a bit ugly.
I will say Scarlet and Violet has made the concept of Pokemon in 3D a lot better than I would have considered previous games. Because, like, one of my biggest complaints when Pokemon made the jump to 3D, one was Pokemon that, were flying types all had in the air animations, but looked so much cooler when they're just on the ground.
Yeah.
That was one of my biggest problems. But now, not all of them necessarily have that. And when you just see them in the wild, the other complaint I had was that, that each Pokemon didn't necessarily feel like they were given the love to be able to be their own Pokemon with their own traits, their, behaviors. But in the new games, they do, especially out in the wild. And it's really cool when I know this is the case with most species, but like you could have like an adult type Pokemon, and then like there's like the pre-evolutions around them, and for the the Litleo line, which are lion Pokemon, it's just really cool to see like a parent lion Pokemon with all the little baby lion Pokemon. Or just even seeing like Vespiquen, which is a queen bee with all the tiny little bees that fly around her, like it's like a colony, and it's like that's so cool to see.
And a Salandit with her rim.
I don't think Salandit's in that game.
Oh, shame.
I don't know. I haven't played enough of it.
We'd have to censor that.
I mean, if we wanted to talk about Scarlet and Violet, we'd be here all day, because there's a lot to say about that game. But yeah, I think, like, these days it's... I don't know if... I think the game industry has been in a good spot the last few years. There's been some rough moments. There's definitely still a big problem with hype culture for games. But, like, hype culture is just messed up anyway.
FOMO as well. FOMO is a big thing now.
It's at the end of the day, because like hype is basically just corporations trying to get consumers to buy their products. At the end of the day, that's all it really is.
Yeah.
But like with video games, it's a lot it's buying a new video game in a franchise or a series or like a new IP. It's not exactly like DFS going, hey, buy our new bed. You've already got that, and it serves the function right. I suppose
God, now I want to see beds get hyped up now.
I suppose like consoles are comparable with that bed example, because like, do you ever really need to get a new console?
No, just get a PC.
Do you really need to get a PC?
Oh yeah, PCs are multi-purpose.
But why not just
PCs are multi-purpose.
Why not just buy a PS2 off eBay for 10 quid, and then there's so many games on there that you'll probably...
I can't watch YouTube on my PS2.
Yeah, but we're talking about playing games. You got your mobile phone to play YouTube.
What everything has to be like multi-use now. Nobody wants a watch just to tell the time anymore. Does it do other things?
So imagine in a world, because we're not getting anywhere with you today. Imagine we live in a world that consoles don't have other uses. It's just games. Like
back in the good old days,
there is no reason to have more than one console. I feel like it's just basically to play different games on a different system. Like at the end of the day, you have one system, except maybe the Wii U and possibly the PlayStation Vita. Though there's an exception I would make for that. And I guess there's an exception for the Wii U as well, but I'll get onto that. But for the most part, like, there's usually enough games on one system that will keep you busy probably until you die. Especially in terms of, like, replay value for games. If you're chucking rhythm games, DDR games, Guitar Hero, online multiplayer games, for the sake of argument, you could play them for the rest of time. The servers never go down.
Huh.
But I suppose if you go back even further, you have like multiplayer in-person games as well. Like I say an exception for the Wii U and Vita, like because if you have just their standalone libraries, they don't have much. The Vita has a lot more than the Wii U. Granted, a lot of it's digital, which is a problem. Because time to come, you're not going to be able to buy that library. They're not making a new Vita. They're stuck on that console unless they decide to port them, which, yeah. Thankfully, a lot of the indie games that came to Vita are accessible elsewhere, thank the Lord. But like Wii U, you can play Wii discs on, so it has that. I suppose if you go further back, if your system of choice is the Virtual Boy, yeah, maybe you're not gonna be using that system for the rest of time with the 6
What about
games.
what about your Soldier Boy console?
Oh my god! I think they still make those.
I don't think they do. It's just an emulator with other people's games. I think it was actually shut down.
I know it was shut down, but I'm pretty sure they made it like a Soldier Boy 2 with like that was actually fine. That wasn't like an emulator.
No, I have no idea.
I don't know. I haven't kept on to it because I'm pretty sure they also made a portable as well, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like, speaking of PlayStation Vita, have you ever owned one or ever interacted with one?
Yes. My father had one.
Oh, someone who actually owns one, because like for the longest time, I was the only one who had one. For the most part, it's still the case. It's very rare to find someone who's played one.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic piece of software, hardware even.
Yeah, there's porn on there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Anyway, thank you for that. But like,
yeah,
I used to say for a while that the PlayStation Vita was my favorite console. But I can't say that after, some time has passed, and it's like I do truly think that if we remove the fact that PlayStation 2 has backwards compatibility for PlayStation 1 and remove the concept of the PlayStation 3, at least the original ones, being able to play PS2 and PS1 games, even later versions playing PS1 games, I think the PS1 is, in my opinion, the best console in terms of the amount of games on it, the variety in games. Like, you can go back to that system and every game, for the most part, feels different.
I think that's favoritism.
Oh, I'd like to do this at some point. Probably off stream, just comparing games and see if we can find any games that actually look similar outside of sequels and stuff. But I'd even make the argument that there's sequels to games that look very different because developers are still experimenting that time.
I mean, like Halo and Halo 2, I think, look a bit different. I think Master Chief took a significant change.
But at the same time, like, it's a Halo game still looks like a Halo game. What I mean is, it's like, you look at Parappa the Rapper, and then you look at Medieval, and then you look at Crash Bandicoot, and you look at Spyro, and then you look at Gran Turismo. They all look different. They all stand out. They all look unique. Even the 3 main Final Fantasy games that were released...
Well, I don't know. If you compare like Crash Bandicoot Racing and Gran Turismo, I think they're very similar.
No.
They're very similar.
No. Not gonna win this. But like using examples of the main three Final Fantasy games that came on that system, you look at Final Fantasy VII and how awful that looks, and then you look at Final Fantasy VIII and it's so realistic, and then you go to 9, which is like a mixture of the two of like looking really good, like 8, but then also kind of incorporating the more chibi style of 7, kind of having smaller characters. But they all like look unique, and that's the thing I love about that system is that I have memories of so many games, and it's very hard of. I don't think any of them blur together. Whereas, like, if I played, like, a bunch of games now in a series, like modern series, it's a lot of the memories do blur. Like, you know, I can't say for sure what moments from a certain Killzone game came from which game. I can't remember which, you know, if someone showed me a footage of a Call of Duty game, I couldn't place where that came from. I'm sure some people who are aficionados of Call of Duty might be able to, but like, yeah, I feel like you could trip someone up still.
Have you ever seen the original Fallout games?
1 and 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they certainly changed the
Yeah.
playstyle of those games.
Well, I think, like, that's also an interesting thing of, like, Fallout 3 in New Vegas. I know some people would be like, oh, how dare you say this? But, like, you know, you could show me either of those games and I probably wouldn't know which game is which. Granted, I haven't played much of either of those games, but
Why?
yeah. Like going back to the PlayStation Vita, because I don't want to say on too much because I know you haven't played it yourself, but I do want to talk about it because like you've played the PSP, right? Oh no.
Maybe.
Did you have one?
Maybe. Don't remember too well. We did. My parents tend to sell a lot of things, so.
That's fair. So you don't have many memories of it at the very least, anyway.
No, I remember having like Nintendo portable devices more.
Okay. But I mean, like the PSP was undoubtedly one of the most popular consoles released. You know, Nintendo has always been the dominant one of handhelds, but the PSP held its own against the DS, which was hard. No doubt, that was some staunch competition. But the thing that the thing the PSP did well was just one, it was great to have a portable movie player. It had some really good games, and at the time before the PlayStation 3 came out, you know, console level games, there was a lot of games that looked like PS2 counterparts. And at the time, like, was really good because you compared PSP games to how it looked for the DS games. Yeah, don't know about that, Chief. But then the Vita took it another level and had, for its time, console quality looking games that were on par with the PlayStation 3. I mean, they had a game, PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale, which was essentially PlayStation version of Smash, and a game that I really love because it has Sir Daniel Fortescue from Medieval in there, so of course I'm gonna love it. But it had crossplay between the PS3 version and the Vita simultaneously, and there was no issues, and that was amazing for the time. Like, you know, you talk about like having the Switch now, right? And it just feels normal to have be able to put it from the dock mode to like handheld, right? But the Vita was doing that like years before that. Like, you could play a game on the PlayStation 3 and the Vita had capabilities to stream that PlayStation 3 game onto the Vita and take it on the go. It was a little bit more cumbersome because you had to have two platforms compared to the Switch, which is just the one platform. And that's why it works. It's simple. It's that easy to understand.
Yeah.
But the Vita technically did it first, and being the hipster that I am, I love things. I get to be like, I was there first with something else. I hate the word hipster. But yeah, unfortunately the system didn't do well because it flopped.
Yeah.
The 3DS was booming. The Vita was held down by goddamn so expensive memory cards. If you wanted 8 gigabytes of 8 gigabyte memory stick, you had to fork out I think it was £30. It was not cheap. I think it was $24.99. Possibly more. They were not cheap. I think a 4 gigabyte, which was the cheapest option. I'm pretty sure that was 15. With $12.99 at one point. They were not cheap. So and because most of the games are digital, you had to get more to have more space, and it was just a nightmare. It was a very good system. Unfortunately, it also came out at a time that mobile phones, gaming on that was becoming popular. I think a year or two into the Vita's lifespan, Flappy Bird came out.
Flappy Bird.
So that was probably a sign that the Vita was not doing well. And unfortunately as well, a lot of the games that were popular on it was JRPGs, Japanese developed games, indie games. So it was never going to be a mainstream platform. I love it. I love that system. I still have mine. I'll promote it till the day I die. I'd really recommend. You can get it pretty cheap these days. Even if you don't play handhelds necessarily, there's a TV version, an actual console technically, which is the PlayStation TV. Very fucking confusing name, especially because Sony sells TVs. But it's basically just a console. It's a docked version, basically, with a lot of features stripped, and some games not being compatible. But if you like Uncharted, there's a whole unique Uncharted experience on the Vita, and it's really, really good. It's really good, but...
Is it called Tomb Raider?
No. It's called Golden Abyss. It's a good game. Also has Gravity Rush, which I think the remaster's even on PC now, possibly. And also on PS4. Great series. Still didn't play the sequel. That's what I'll do at some point. Anyway, I've not on about the Vita and even to an extent the PlayStation 1, but do you have a console that you love, that you were you can just talk about for hours, days?
I really enjoyed the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
That was my console, and that was in the boom of the achievements.
Oh, God,
coming out as well.
Oh my days, yeah. That's something to talk about.
And I missed the days where achievements meant something. Because now it's just clout, I guess, or just I know there are achievement hunters still,
yeah,
who really want to get get that 100% game score, but I remember in Gears of War 3, not Gears of War 3, Gears of War 3 too, I think, Did Gears of War 3 have achievements that unlock shit? I think it did. But Halo 3 had achievements where you unlocked helmets for particular achievements
Okay.
in the game. So like there was a Hayabushi helmet, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Which you had to get energy sword kills. I think you had to get like 3 to 5 energy sword kills in one match, which was very hard to do. Managed to do it though. Managed to get it, and like it just, I don't know. There was like that. That was a clout. That was clout for me. Having that helmet it was like, hey, look what I got. I got that achievement. But they stopped doing that for some reason. You don't see that anymore.
It's a popular feature.
They'd rather just sell it you now.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
it's just a popular feature that's kind of just died down. I think, like, I used to be a trophy hunter more so on the PS3 side of things, and the Vita. But I remember probably grinding for like platinum trophies for maybe 3 to 4 years. And then when I was starting to play games more so on PC, around about that time as well, like there's a secondary reason of just I realized that spending unnecessary time to get these trophies that don't really matter,
Yeah.
I could be spending on a new experience, a new game, and I figured like, yeah, they're just not important to me anymore.
No, it's just I don't know. If I get the achievements, I get the achievements, but it's not my priority anymore.
No.
And I play the game how I want to play, and I at my own pace.
Yeah, I think like especially now that like achievements are kind of baked into the experience, and it's you know there was for a while a lot of games were just, oh, you beat chapter 1, here's a trophy, and it's just like I don't feel like I earned anything. But it's like the
Yeah.
first few games that came out with them, like you felt like you actually did something. And the last game I remember that actually felt different in that regard was The Last of Us. Because the trophies in that game, I'd never beaten it, and I unlocked like 11 or 17%, something like that, of the trophies. And I was like, huh. But I went through the game and everything and beat it. But like a lot of it's just like replaying on a different difficulty, or like
Yeah.
doing different things, collecting stuff in these games. But they weren't story related stuff, and it's just like that's awesome. I like more of that. But again, at this point, one game doing it is not gonna make me excited to hunt for these again.
The last game that I remember trying to get achievements for was Half-Life 2 Part 1.
The last game I tried that I did complete the full list for was Final Fantasy IX Remastered for PC when the Steam release came out. And that was an absolute slog because there was one achievement that stood out above the rest, which is defeat 10,000 enemies. And in a typical playthrough, which I'd done every other achievement at this point, so it was like I did, it was a full-on completion thing. I had only killed just over 1,000 enemies. And that's like even grinding at some points. So I had to put the game on speed up. I had to go to a certain part of the world and just run in a circle to get spawns that had 4 enemies in one battle, which was the limit. Because everywhere else were enemies of just 1 or 2, or if you're lucky, 3. But there's only one area where you could fight 4 enemies at the same time. And even then, I think I spent 5-6 hours just fast forwarding, grinding for that last achievement. And I think like at the end of it, it was just like, that's enough achievements for a while.
Yeah, when I did the Half-Life 2 Part 1, I did the achievement where you only use the crowbar.
Oh right,
Yeah, I can't remember what the achievement's called, but you just all you use is a crowbar. That's it. You
it's
don't
quite
use
cool.
any. And I did it. I did it, but it was very exhausting. And I tried, and I started doing part two, doing that again, because you have to shoot one bullet or two, to get past an area. But then at that point, you don't use gun ever again. You use crowbar. And I got burnt out doing that, and it kind of ruined my experience. Half Life, and I haven't completed that game. Part two anyway.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, and after that, I was like, "What am I doing? What am I doing these achievements for?"
Yeah.
So like, if I want to play a game on the hardest difficulty, I'll do it because I want to, not because I want that achievement. Especially horror games anyway. I tend to like to challenge myself with horror games. Alien Isolation, Nightmare Mode, for example. Dead Space.
I mean, yeah, like there's some achievements, but like I feel like the achievements themselves are supplementary, but they are great in terms of guiding you into doing like certain challenges because, for example, the one achievement which is like, I think it's like on the hardest difficulty and only using one save file. I think that's one of the achievements. You can only save once through a whole playthrough. Dead Space is a 20-hour game
Yeah.
for the most part. So you gotta make that save count, and it's rough, and the achievement really makes you work for it. And without that achievement being there, like you wouldn't have that sense of I need to do that challenge, you know. Um, Granted, I feel like there's plenty of games with self-imposed challenges.
Yeah, I mean,
Outweigh.
Nuzlocke exist as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, even the challenge you set me for Hunt, that
Mm.
was some of the most fun I had in that game. Than I've had in that game so far. Um, Granted, it's a different kind of fun playing solo compared to playing with others, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's still a lot of fun. Um, I did want to ask as well, like, because I was asking like in terms of like favorite console and whatever. Like, was there like a console you kind of had? Because like you said about the Xbox 60, but did you have any other like consoles that you kind of had growing up? Do you have like kind of like first memories with like? Do you remember like your first console?
Um. My first official console was the Xbox.
Oh, the
That was
original.
mm-hmm.
You
That
had the
was
big Duke
mine.
controllers. Yeah,
Yeah.
boy. Love
That
that.
I remember when I was a young child, and I had it on Christmas, and I couldn't lift up the box because it was so heavy.
It's a heavy system.
It was heavy, so heavy. But the I have fond memories of the Sega Mega Drive.
Nice.
That was my first console, and Super NES, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
So I played like Super Mario Bros. And um, Bomberman. I played so much Bomberman.
Bomberman's great. Especially on the
Um,
SNES.
yeah, SNES,
The
no
SNES.
SNES.
Well, it's funny because like you mentioned it's like you say Super NES and it's like I think everyone has a different way of saying that console. To me, it's always the SNES, but
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
yeah. I played on Nintendo 64. I have fun memories of as well.
yeah.
Playing Mario Kart and GoldenEye, and Super Mario 64 as well.
Do you have any games that like you kind of enjoyed from that time growing up that you kind of look back now and go like that wasn't good.
I
That
think
wasn't a good game.
Mario, like, especially like I remember as a kid how like messing with his face was so fun and like oh, it's so fun and charming, and then you look at it now like, oh my god, that's horrifying.
Funnily, the best part of that game, I can't stand that game. Like, I could stay here for like an hour talking about Super Mario 64. I won't.
I think
But like,
I
oh,
remember the sound effects a lot from that game. Like, is that wah wah wahoo? You know, the free jumps and the
yeah.
music, and I don't know.
Like, here's the thing, right? That game, like, it's not a terrible game, as
Yeah,
much as that hurts to say, because, like, I have my issues with that game. But, like, you know, there's a reason why it's one of the most popular speedrunning games. There's a reason why so much love for that game. But I will always make the argument that the reason why it was good was because it didn't have much competition.
hmm.
Um, you know, that game is rough, and there's a lot of like nostalgia really helps that game. And don't get me wrong, I have nostalgia for the game as well. More so the DS version, which is a little bit better. Not by much, but it's better.
I think Mario Sunshine. I haven't played that in a long time.
That's a great game.
Good game. Apparently, people don't like it. Don't like it though.
It's a Marmite game. There's people that like it and people that don't.
Oh,
Um, but yeah.
where
Um,
is this? Okay.
but it's weird because it's like Sunshine is a much superior game to 64, but like it just doesn't get the love. I mean, GameCube, poor GameCube, just didn't get the
I
love it
love
deserved.
GameCube.
It's a great system.
I'm sorry, but the GameCube had the best Mario Kart game.
It did,
Double
yeah.
Dash. Double Dash is so good.
I mean, there's so many games and franchises that were best on GameCube. I will
Yeah.
still make the argument that like the best 3D Pokemon games are Colosseum and XD
Hmm.
with their faults.
I mean, no game is like those though. Pokemon Stadium Coliseum. Like, we haven't had a Pokemon game like Stadium ever since then. Like,
Well,
with the whole announcer. Like,
we had it for the Wii. We had Battle Revolution.
oh, I haven't played that. I haven't even heard of that.
It's a game I have a lot of fond memories of, but it's not one that's aged well at all. And the announcer is you spend an hour with that game, and you're like, right, announcer goes off, and it has an option for it. You know that they knew people would turn it off. If it came out
Hmm.
now, they'd be like, we're not going to give an option because we like taking away options from people.
Hmm.
Game Freak at the moment. But yeah, like there's a lot of franchises that like hit the highs. Then granted, it's up for debate and argument, but like F-Zero GX is the best F-Zero game. There's arguments to be made that Metroid was at its highest with the Prime series. Still waiting on Metroid Prime 4. It'll eventually come out.
I've never played the Metroid games.
Well,
Somehow.
they're remastering the first Metroid Prime for Switch. I know you don't have a Switch, but
I have Switch. Yeah.
oh, do you? I thought you.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I just can't afford games on the Switch. I just can't afford games.
fair
The last game I bought was Sword and Shield. I haven't purchased any games on it since because I just can't afford.
that's fair. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, you know, Pikmin was great. I don't think any of the sequels compare. I'm still excited for Pikmin 4. Granted, Pikmin started on that system. But I think Sunshine was at one point the highlight of the series, and then Odyssey came out, which I think is now the best Mario experience. You know, you had Twilight Princess, which outside of I need to replay that game, but I think Link to the Past is a better experience. Generally, but I may change my mind on a replay of Twilight Princess. But I love that game; it's so good. I know it's also on Wii, but
I also have memories of the Dreamcast as well. I played House of the Dead on that,
Oh God. Um,
and
Temple
I
of the Dead as
also
well.
I also played a Spawn game on there. Uh, which
Oh,
was
I know
like,
the one you're on about. I can't remember the
yeah,
subtitle for it.
yeah. Because I keep thinking Armageddon, and I was like, no, it's not that one. That's like a solo campaign, which is
Mm.
not a bad. It's not a bad game either. But now it's like, yeah, like this like big. Oh, I just loved it as a kid. Oh my god! I just remembered another game for the PlayStation that was banned, and it was like this really graphic, bloody, gory fighting game.
Thrill to Kill, I think.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, hold on, let me go look.
Thrill
Go,
Kill.
hold on, thrill. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, thrill kill. Yeah,
Yeah, Thrill
thrill
Kill.
kill. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I played that as a kid. You know.
It almost made it to shelves. Like it had packaging. Like it
Mm.
was pretty much ready to go, and then like someone just walked into the office one day and was just like, "Oh hell no, no." I think the publisher was Virgin Media Interactive, and yeah, I can imagine them as a
So
publisher would.
strange.
Yeah, I think video games. Like the one thing I love about video games, especially, is that there's so much insight in terms of development stories, especially now. Like there's so much information that's come out from developers just talking about their experiences on games back in the 90s and the early 2000s and so on. um like I'm sure it exists for like movies and stuff like that. Like uh, not to go on too much a tangent, but like I've been recently learning a lot more about the Star Wars movies behind the scenes. But even then, I feel like there's a lot more um, information in terms of like a game's development history compared to like a movie. Especially because
Oh,
like you're able to like with like demos and beta builds and stuff that like gets leaked with like old models and stuff like that. You can kind of see like the original vision before it was what came out or didn't even release in the end. I mean, like one of the best stories that of a doomed game was Alien Colonial Marines. I know you have your own personal story with that game. It's a rough experience.
I was hyped for that game.
But like it's games like that that's taught me not to be hyped for a game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, I will say to this day though, I spent 15 years being hyped for Duke Nukem Forever, and was pleasantly happy with the result. I know a lot of people like to shit on Duke Nukem Forever, and it's like, oh, it took 15 years and then they released it and it was garbage. But like, I think that game is fun. It's because like people complain like, oh, you can't switch between so many guns and it doesn't have this and it doesn't have that. But it's like, fine, it's good to compare, but like if you just look at it as an experience on its own, it's enjoyable. I think. Yeah,
Mm.
the long loading times are a problem, but like if you're able to look past that, like it.
Oh, look, if you want to moan about fucking loading times, play Recore. That game is so shit. I played that and I was like, it's alright, it's okay. Then you die and you're like 5 minutes in a fucking loading screen and you die again and you're like, oh my god, I'm in a loading
Yeah,
screen.
but it's funny because it's like I feel like a lot of people who do complain about loading times are the same people who enjoy. No, not all of them, but I'm sure there's a group of people that would say all of that and are happy enough to play games from the past, like difficult games like Strider, Ninja Gaiden,
Contra.
Castlevania, Contra, and are very happy to, go, I died and I have to start back from the beginning, and this is great because blah blah blah. And I have to spend 40 minutes getting back to where they were. Mega Man is another example. But yet they can't sit for 40 seconds for for a loading screen. I guess, like, obviously, difference is, I guess you're still playing a game within those 40 seconds, but I don't know. Especially these days, like, if my game is taking a while to load, or if I'm on a multiplayer game and I'm waiting for the game to load in, I'm just on my phone. I'll just look at some for 30 seconds. I'll just go on Twitter for a moment, just look at some cute bunny pictures, and then move on. But yeah, so we're like with loading times and everything, like, you were saying about
The console thing.
yeah.
Well, yeah. So like, I remember they were trying to sell us and hype us on the fact that like loading screens were dead, and yeah, and downloading games were no longer inconvenient, and like you can play them whilst they were downloaded. A whole lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it's now we're on PS5 and what's the new Xbox called now?
Series X, Series S
Yeah.
as well.
I think now we're at the time where loading screens are like not as noticeable back now than that was promised to us
Well,
back then.
this generation was all about no loading times at all. There's just
Yeah.
no loading screens, and for the most part, that is true.
Yeah.
I can't remember a recent game that has had them.
I'm trying to remember if the new Spider-Man game had loading screens.
I haven't played it.
I don't remember.
Yeah. But like saying about the hallways and stuff like that. I do hope that like that won't last long, because I'm sick of seeing it.
The gaming industry has a interesting like history and like fads. One thing I don't miss is QTEs.
Oh god, yeah. Oh, I mean, like I re-experienced those with Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and it was cool at the time. But now it's like seeing the same animation over and over, and seeing those button prompts. It's just like, God.
I mean, most of those were like complete features for games. For like boss battles. Oh God.
There's a few exceptions that like worked well. I really liked Heavy Rain.
Well, I mean, those games aren't games. Those are just interactive movies.
I mean, but then there's also the Telltale games. Like, specifically thinking of The Walking Dead. Like, there's a lot of puzzles involved and stuff like that. But of course, like, people remember that for the QTs as well.
Yeah.
Or the quick responses.
Like, yeah, it's just like when it's it feels lazy when it's like you're an action-packed game and you come to the boss and it's just like, oh, you finish him off with a QT.
Yeah.
What was that Roman game that released on the Xbox One?
I know the one you're on about.
Yeah, that was just very disappointing to people. Because it was just full of QTEs.
I remember that game solely for the fact it's in I think it's an Adam Sandler movie, and it's like one of the kids is playing on it on the back of their one of the front seats, like on the back of it, has a
Hmm.
TV. When they're playing that game, I think it's an Adam Sandler film.
Hmm.
I
Oh
don't
my
know.
god! Didn't they Xbox One try to sell their Connect as well, didn't they? Really forced that on you. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Xbox One did not have a good first life cycle, that's for sure.
I mean, well, but then the Kinect came during the Xbox 360, which was arguably Microsoft's high point.
Yeah, but it wasn't forced on you. You
I
can. That
I
was.
I would disagree. Like there was that thing was everywhere for a good while. Um, but granted, it was definitely more forced during the Xbox One.
Oh, you can buy. You can buy a console without one, I think.
Um, it's a little hazy because I can't remember
Hmm.
if it was the case that it launched and that was the case initially and then they stopped that, or it was the case that that was how it was before it came out, and
Yeah.
then I'm pretty sure it was the case before it was out because there was a huge like day one patch to remove so much of what the Xbox One was originally going to be and
Oh
removing all that
yeah.
like DRM crap.
Yeah.
Oh, that system died. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that there was a hardcore Xbox audience and the game, Xbox versus PlayStation thing, which is barely a thing now.
Hmm.
Um, I grew up in a time where like it was Xbox versus PlayStation, and now it's just
I mean, I was part
real
of that
life crap.
as well. I was in the front line. I was on the Xbox side, you know. Fuck Sony, even though I grew up with a PlayStation and PS2. Fuck Sony.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I grew up with all systems, and I will still say
yeah.
PlayStation is better, personally. But now, Nintendo does have good offerings, but for a good
Hmm.
while, they maybe not. Um, but Xbox has and always will be lacking in um, exclusive content.
Honestly, like I enjoyed the exclusive content for the Xbox and 360, but like playing, like seeing what they have for um, Xbox One and Xbox Series X. I've played Gears of War 4, 5, Halo, whatever number, and they weren't that good. And I've played like PlayStation 4 exclusive. They're so fucking PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and I haven't played the PlayStation 5, but I played like God of War a bit. I played Spider Man. I played Bloodborne.
But this is the thing: is that like
So good,
you know,
such good exclusives.
Xbox is starting to realize that and is getting better with their like exclusives. But
What
I do
what did
think
what did the Xbox One have? They had Recall.
they had a lot of exclusive games like Rise. They had
That's the Roman game. You just mentioned it. It's
oh
Rise.
well when you said Xbox game, I thought you were on about the original Xbox. Then no,
Oh
yeah.
no.
But no, Rise, but a lot of those games eventually transition to PC, where it's to the point where, you know, if you want a console, I recommend PlayStation or Nintendo, like with the Switch and the PlayStation 5 at the moment. Um, there's no point getting an Xbox unless you have friends that you play with for like multiplayer games on Xbox systems, because you can get all those games on PC. And
Plus,
um,
honestly, the Game Pass is such a good deal. To be fair, as
yeah, but
well.
that's on PC as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, but it's something of like I know everyone, not everyone wants to play PC. It's you know it's not as inclusive. It's not as you need to have a lot more understanding about specifications. Will a game run like? Because some people just like the idea of like you got your console, you put the disc in, or download the game, and it just works for the most part. There's a lot of buggy games these days. A lot of patches needed and all of that. But So it's like there is an argument to, for Xbox and stuff like that, but if you can get yourself a PC, um, I think it's just there's a few games that maybe not, for example, we play Hunt, for example, and we have someone who uh, currently doesn't have access to a PC, and they play Xbox, and we want to play with them, um, but so they would be the argument of like, oh, maybe you should get an Xbox so you can play with them, but we prefer to get them a PC because I'm sure they'd appreciate that. But yeah, for the most part, if you can get a PC, I think like it's having that. Then it's just a preference of like if you want a Switch and a PlayStation or either or. There's no definitive, uh, there's people that are just happy with just one of those systems.
Yeah.
Slash PC,
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should wrap up.
Yeah, just in case as well.
But yeah, so thank you again for being here with me for another beautiful
Always.
episode. We do have one thing that we're going to wrap up with before we go.
Presents?
Presents? Ooh.
It's Christmas.
Let's not count down already. Jesus. For anyone that's listening, it's currently February, and I'm like,
No, it's December 25th, 2023. Merry Christmas.
Lordy Lou. So I heard that we have trivia at the end of our podcast.
Yes, we do. And I got some neat questions for you to answer, and you're gonna answer them all wrong, and I'm gonna do a challenge again.
Okay. So for anyone who maybe jumping in now or whatever, or it's episode 2, so not too familiar with the rules. We'll go over them again. So like I did last episode, Adam's gonna be taking the wheel of asking me some questions. I do believe they have the 5 questions as we did before. If I can get 3 right, I can issue a challenge to them, and if I get 3 wrong, then or more, then they could issue me another challenge, which I'm not looking forward to.
I got some doozies.
I'd like to actually issue a challenge this time. That'd be nice.
Well, we'll see. I have high confidence that you'll win.
I don't. So yeah, let's jump into it.
Okay, so these are Pokemon related questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll see how well you do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, first question. Nice and easy for you, nice warm up. Name 5 Kanto region Pokemon.
Okay, so we have Pikachu, Jolteon, Eevee, Coughing, and Arbok.
There we go. Nice and easy. Congratulations, you got the first question correct.
Hell yeah. 1 point to me.
Yes, just 4 more to go. Okay.
Feel that confidence before you crush me.
Number 2. What company initially turned down the plans for Pokemon? Was it A, Sega, B, Nintendo, C, Konami, or D, Capcom?
I'm pretty sure it's a Sega because Game Freak released a few games for Sega before Nintendo snatched them up. So I'm going with A. Sega.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That is incorrect.
Oh.
It was Nintendo.
Well, that's...
Yeah, no, they Game Freak initially pitched it to them, and they were like, no. You're. It's a bit of a big game for you guys, you know,
You tricked me.
because
Tricked
did
me
I
out.
trick you?
You did.
Did I trick you? Well, that's one wrong already. It's looking good.
I
Okay.
want to dispute this because the question was the first person that they brought up to. Granted, I got it
What
wrong.
company initially turned down the plans for Pokemon?
Was that the question?
Yeah, that was the question.
Oh, I thought that's a different question. I want to check the thought. I'm going to listen back to this, and I'm going to dispute it.
I have it written down. I read it word from word.
Copium.
Number 3. How many Pokemon types are there? Is it...
Okay.
Oh. Is it 20? Is it B, 19? Is it C, 17? Or is it D, 18?
I think it's D18.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That is correct. There is 18 types.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that because it's like 18 plus. But
Speaking of 18 plus, which Pokemon has the Pokédex number 69? Is it A?
Okay.
Is it A, Geodude? Is it B, Bellsprout? Is it C, Jinx? Or is it D, Slowpoke?
Oh, thank God. You made this easy for me. It's Bellsprout. I was debating, I was like, is it Weeping Bell? But thankfully it's like, okay, yeah, it's Bellsprout.
Damn it.
Yes, I get to issue a challenge. Let's go.
No!
Okay.
So close. I knew I should have just did the Bellsprout. I didn't want to make it too obvious, but I knew you would know that.
No, that was a good one.
I knew Jinx would be like an obvious no, but I had to put her in.
No, if you had put, like, Weeping Bell, like, I would have been like, because I always get confused which one it is.
Yeah, Weeping Bell was in there, but I decided to swap it for Jinx instead.
Thank the Lord, thank you.
For the hilarity. Damn it!
I'm pretty sure I would have ended up saying Bellsprout, but, like, you know, alternate universe, you never know. Okay, I'm ready for question 5.
I knew. How can you break a Ditto's disguise? Is it A, make it cry? B, make it laugh? C, confuse it? Or D, frighten it?
Ooh, this must be, like, lore question, because, like, obviously you can't break the disguise in the game. Can you give the options again?
Make it cry, make it laugh, confuse it, or frighten it.
I don't know this, but I'm gonna go with frighten.
You're going for D.
Yeah.
That is incorrect. You have to make it laugh.
Okay.
Damn it! I should have made that 4.
See, that's a trick one because it's like the rest are video game related. That one is not. It might be in the lore of one of the games, but I feel like that's more anime related. But
Yeah, probably.
but I get to issue a challenge, and I've had this for close to a month now. I've had this for a while. Let me get my notepad up because I just want to make sure that I read this out correctly. Here we go. So, I'm going to challenge you. And this will be... You have to do a stream for this.
Yay.
I want you to play your favorite game, Dead by Daylight. And I want you to do a light version of the No Miver challenge.
Okay.
Now, my initial No Miver challenge was going from Ash 4 to Iridescent 1. So rank 20 to rank 1. Just run No Miver. with like some fun stuff in between. But I'm gonna be kind. I'm not gonna make you do all of that because it's horrible. So I want a full stream with no Miver. You cannot run any other perks.
Not even
And
DS, just in case I get tunneled inevitably.
you cannot end your stream until you've escaped 5 times.
Bruh.
Once you've escaped 5 times, you can continue on if you would like, or you can just end things. But you need to escape 5 times. That is the challenge.
24-hour stream hype.
There's a few little rules. 2 mainly. 1, you can escape through the exit gates. You can escape through the hatch. And I will even accept an escape when a killer DCs, but they must DC with 2 gens remaining.
Right. Okay.
Because at that point, they've probably DC'd because they're losing. If they DC'd 5 gens, like, I'm not counting that. I'm not letting you have that. Another rule must be that you're playing solo queue.
Yeah.
You can't have anyone else to help you, unfortunately.
That's kind of rude.
You have 2 weeks to complete this challenge. I am looking forward to it.
I'm not looking forward to it at all.
I will.
My challenge was nice.
I will say, because I said like you can't escape, you can't end a stream until you've escaped 5 times. If you do multiple streams of it, I'll accept that. But it must be the case that you get those 5 escapes on stream.
Oh boy. Oh, gee whiz, thank you, Jess.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to seeing how your experience was. I'm sure you won't get tunneled. You definitely won't get slugged. But make sure everyone to check out Adam at the Pink-Eyed Lichen, or Pink-Eyed Lichen rather. It's not the. They'll probably be streaming it on their Twitch channel. They probably. They will. Yeah, you can watch them experience fun, joy, and a good challenge. Yeah.
Like, good bench.
But as always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for having us invade your earlobes.
Not your eardrums, your earlobes.
Yes, specifically those.
We are your ear piercings.
We enter your ears through vibrations. Anyway, we appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Yeah, we'll catch you for episode 3. We'll probably be talking about movies.
Yeah.
And film and all of that loveliness next time. And we'll catch up on Adam and see how they got on with their challenge.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for being with us. You take care.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Bye.
Stay safe. Oh, and before we go, don't forget that we will have the video versions of the podcast both up on Twitch and on YouTube.
Yep.
But you can listen to us to on a multitude of different services. If you go to our website on Podbean, you can find the link on the Twitch channel. If you're curious just to see where else we are, wherever you listen to us. Yeah. You find us there. We'll be uploading the hunt, the first challenge stuff onto the YouTube and the TikTok and potentially Twitter soon. Hope you guys will enjoy that too. And yeah. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And remember that, a bench you need
is a friend indeed.
That's not the saying!
It's my saying.
I don't know if I want to do episode 3 now.
I'm deliberately doing it wrong every time. You do know that, right?
Lord help me with this one. Anyway, a bench you need isn't a bench. It isn't a bench indeed. No, that's not the case. A bench you need is a bench indeed, and we appreciate you. All benches out there.
I think the way I think I say it better. Yeah. You got a bench in me.
You got a bench in you.
You got a bench in me.
There's a bench in you. I think you need to see a doctor about that.
There's a bench in all of us.
Indeed. Right. Catch you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.